You're watching NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us as we have a brand new mock draft to get to from ESPN NFL draft analyst Matt Miller. We will go through every pick from number 1 all the way down to 32, and we also have a big-time trade to discuss as well coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do that, folks, if you want more NFL draft content here on Chat Sports, I need to get at least 20 subs off today's video for the latest happenings across the National Football League, from daily news and rumors to live shows, our Red Zone show on Sundays. It's all right here on your one-stop shop for all things NFL. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/chatsportstv, and we'll get started with today's show. The first pick of the Matt Miller mock draft, a trade. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the number 1 pick, and they make a deal with the Giants to move up to the number 1 spot to select Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, who's having a fantastic season this year, and Colorado still with a chance to make the college football playoff. The number 2 pick from Cleveland is Shedeur's teammate, none other than Travis Hunter, at the wide receiver / corner spot. What will he play at the next level? He's projected to be a better corner than he is a wide receiver, but does play both positions at a high level. We'll see what ultimately becomes of that. Then Jacksonville, trading down to 3 with the deal with the Giants. They pick up Kelvin Jr., the outstanding offensive tackle from the University of Texas. Trevor Lawrence getting some much-needed help on the offensive line. Well, the Raiders, with the number 4 pick, they finally get their quarterback. They get Cam Ward out of the University of Miami, a Heisman Trophy candidate. Miami with a shot to win the ACC and make the college football playoff. They've been one of the most impressive teams in the country this year. Then rounding up the top 5, we find one of the star receivers in the Southeastern Conference, Luther Burden III, out of Missouri. He has been phenomenal this season, a do-everything guy that can catch pretty much anything that comes his direction. Would not be surprised if that works out, that he ends up being the first receiver off the board. Let's ask you, which quarterback would you rather have? Would you pick Shedeur Sanders, or would you go with Cam Ward? Personally speaking, I lean more towards Cam Ward myself. Not a knock on Shedeur. I think these two have certainly separated themselves from the rest of the pack. What do you guys think? Weigh in our pin comment today. Let us know. Type SS for Shedeur Sanders. Type CW for Cam Ward. Let us know which one you would pick. Then the number 6 pick, the Patriots, get some help at the defensive back spot, selecting Will Johnson from Michigan, one of the best DBs in the country. The Jets, they get help with the number 7 pick on the defensive line, adding Abdul from Penn State. T-Mac, one of my favorite players in this year's draft, the star receiver from the University of Arizona. Although Arizona has not been good, T-Mac's been fantastic. He goes to Carolina at 8, providing another weapon for that Carolina Panthers offense that certainly could use all the help they could get. Then at number 9, the Cowboys get some help on the defensive line. They add defensive tackle Mason Graham from the University of Michigan. While rounding out the top 10, we find Mikael Williams, the defensive end from Georgia, going to the Cincinnati Bengals, and that Bengals defense certainly could use some reinforcements on that front. We'll roll through the rest of Matt Miller's mock draft in a moment, but first, let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS, and PrizePicks has got a great deal they're offering. They will give you $50 to spend for free when you play $5. You don't even have to win to get the money. It's that simple, folks. And I'm looking ahead to some pro football action this weekend on PrizePicks, folks. I'm going with Geno Smith to have more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown against the Cardinals. And also staying in that game, I got Marvin Harrison Jr., former first-round pick out of Ohio State, to have less than 55.5 receiving yards for the Arizona Cardinals. Play along with me, PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Check out PrizePicks today. Continuing with pick 11, the Saints get some help on the defensive side of the ball as they get defensive end / linebacker Jalen Walker from the University of Georgia. Then at 12, the Bears. They find a defensive tackle, Derek Harmon from the University of Oregon. The Ducks, the number one team in the land, and on track to win the Big Ten and make the college football playoff, and he's a big reason why. At 13, the Dolphins, they go with the defensive tackle as well. They go with Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Well, 14, this one was a bit of a surprise for me. James Pierce Jr., who on many mock drafts in the last couple months was projected to go top 5. Some people think he might be even the best player in this draft, sliding all the way to 14 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. An absolute steal for Tampa Bay to find him at 14. Then at 15, another Bulldog off the board. This time it's the great Malachi Starks out of Georgia, the safety. He goes to the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of Longhorns and a lot of Bulldogs on today's show as we find offensive tackle Cameron Williams out of the University of Texas going to the San Francisco 49ers. Then the Seahawks at 17. Their offensive line has been a mess throughout much of this season. They get Will Campbell, the offensive guard / offensive tackle, out of LSU with some positional flexibility, which Seattle could take all the help they could get. The Rams find their quarterback of the future, Carson Beck out of Georgia, who entering 2024 was projected to be the number one quarterback in this year's class. His season has not gone that great. He did just play his best game of the season this past week against Tennessee. He becomes the heir apparent to replace Matthew Stafford there in L.A. at 18. And then at 19, the Broncos. Their offensive line pretty solid as is. They get some more help with Ursi, the offensive tackle from Minnesota. At 20, the Atlanta Falcons. They snag up another Aggie off the board. Nick Scorton, the defensive end from Texas A&M, slides in at the number 20 spot. We got 12 more picks to go here in just a moment, but let's ask you. We've already mentioned 3 quarterbacks. This QB class, not as good as last year's class. How many QBs are going to get selected in the first round of the 2024 draft? Get in the comments section, weigh in, let us know your predictions of how many QBs fall in the first round this year. We mentioned Longhorns and Dogs. Here's another Longhorn. This one, Isaiah Bond, the former Alabama Crimson Tide receiver, has had a very good year with the Horns. He goes to Arizona, gets to play alongside Marvin Harrison Jr. Kyler Murray would be smiling ear to ear, I would imagine, if they made this pick there at 21. 22, the Commies, they go corner, adding Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. Well, 23, one of the most exciting players in all of college football, Ashton Jeanty, the running back from Boise State, who is having a phenomenal season, on track to rush for 2,000-plus yards, trying to chase down Barry Sanders' all-time rushing record. He has been an electric factory this year. He goes to Houston to join C.J. Stroud there in that very young team that's emerging. At 24, for the second straight year, the Ravens go corner as they go Shavon Ravel out of East Carolina. Well, rounding out the top 25, a Michigan man joining Jim Harbaugh. His former player, Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, goes to the L.A. Chargers, getting another weapon for Justin Herbert. At 26, the Green Bay Packers, they go corner out of Texas, Jadi Barron with the selection. 27, the Eagles get some reinforcements at linebacker, adding Barrett Carter out of Clemson. 28, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their quarterback situation's been kind of in flux. They turned to Russell Wilson at the halfway point of this season after starting with Justin Fields when Russ came back from injury. They go with Jalen Milroe out of Alabama here at 28. Milroe has certainly shown a lot of athleticism. He can run, but there's been some question marks about his accuracy in his career there with Alabama. At 29, this guy was the number one player in the college football transfer portal this past year. Walter Nolan, who was with Texas A&M, now he's at Ole Miss, and he's had a very good season. He joins that Minnesota Vikings defense, which is just looking for anything they can get on that defense. He'd be a good fit there for Minnesota at 29. We'll get to the final 3 selections here in just a bit, but I want to know, no wrong answers here, who is your favorite player in the 2025 NFL Draft? Who comes to mind? Who do you like? Get in that comment section, shout them out, and let us know who that player is. The final 3 picks, let's start with the Bills at 30. They go with Tyleik Williams, the defensive tackle from Ohio State. Meanwhile, Big Jonah, the offensive guard from Arizona, goes to the Detroit Lions. The Lions already with a solid offensive line, and they get better. And then rounding out the top 32, the first round, the Chiefs have had some big concerns at the offensive tackle spot this year between Kingsley and Wanya Morris. They get some help for Patrick Mahomes. With Josh Simmons, you would likely have him slide into that left tackle position with the concerns that the Chiefs have had when we've seen Wanya Morris struggle this year. Kingsley didn't look that great either, so a natural fit for Kansas City on that offensive line. There you have it. That is Matt Miller's 2024 NFL mock draft in full from picks 1 all the way to 32. Not a bad mock draft, but for me, I think James Pierce was way too low at 14, so I'll give this about a B+. How would you grade Matt Miller's mock draft? A, B, C, D, or F? Get in that comment section and let us know. For continuing NFL coverage, subscribe now to NFL Daily by Chat Sports. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.